Is the war in West Asia beginning to hit home? When I say hit home, the economic cost of the war, the cost where it comes down to supply of LPG and crude. While the government has made sure that there is no shortage of crude, LPG supplies are tightening across several Indian cities, forcing restaurants to cut menus and ration fuel. Here's more.
A war thousands of kilometers away is now hitting Indian kitchens. The conflict in West Asia has disrupted global gas supplies, tightening LPG availability across several Indian cities. India consumes more than 5,200 million cubic meters of gas every month. Less than half of this is produced domestically, making the country heavily dependent on imports. A major share of India's LNG imports comes from Qatar, which has recently declared force majeure on supplies. India sources only about 18% from the United States, with other suppliers including UAE, Angola and Oman. In Bengaluru, commercial LPG supplies have nearly stopped, putting restaurants at risk. In Chennai, deliveries have become irregular, forcing eateries to cut menu items and ration fuel.
We have now more than 100 and plus restaurants in Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
We are already that index and stall another 5 to 10 restaurants we have the airport and railways.
Okay.
Now we are challenging another 80 to 90 restaurant closing level we have only for this today or tomorrow we limited stock only.
In Mumbai, at least 20 hotels and eateries have reportedly shut operations due to LPG shortages. Restaurant owners in Hyderabad say deliveries have slowed sharply, forcing them to activate contingency plans. Cylinder supplies in Bhopal say they are on high alert. Distribution companies say they are closely monitoring supplies and working to prevent major disruptions. Kolkata is also witnessing an acute shortage of non-domestic LPG cylinders. One of the city's largest confectionery and restaurant chains have halted operations at its central kitchen, which normally uses nearly 40 cylinders a day.
Due to the ongoing Iran war, the supply of LPG cylinders is disturbed. The hotel and restaurant industry is not getting adequate supply of LPG cylinders. However, until yesterday, we were getting some supplies, but from today, there is a complete stop of supply of LPG cylinders. I am afraid if this continues, the hotels and restaurants industry may have to shut down.
To tackle the situation, the central government has taken several steps. Essential Commodities Act invoked. Oil Ministry panel set up to examine supply disruptions. Refineries asked to maximize LPG output. LPG refill booking cycle extended. Petroleum Minister Hardeep Singh Puri also met Prime Minister Modi with External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar present to review the situation. Government sources told India today that the LPG crisis has been resolved. Since yesterday, refineries have increased LPG production by 10%. India is also in touch with several countries to ensure that the nation's energy demands are met. Oil companies say LPG supplies are now being prioritized for households and essential services such as hospitals and schools. Commercial demand will be addressed based on availability. For now, the squeeze being felt by most is India's restaurant industry. But the larger question remains, is this a real shortage or a crisis driven by panic and hoarding? Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, what is good in times like this, and it's really important that the government actually steps in and allay fears, especially in the time where there could be a few who could try and make a fast buck of a crunch. Now, is there an actual crunch in terms of shortage? Is there hoarding? The government has constantly come out and clarified on this. So the latest news break that is coming in from the government amidst alarm over LPG crunch. The government sources have once again reiterated this is good in a way, viewers, because every day the government is stepping in and giving out the true picture other than all the war rumor mongering in times like this. The government says there is no need to panic. There are talks with 40 nations to procure oil and energy sources compared to 27 countries earlier. Sources add Petroleum Minister Hardeep Singh Puri is already in touch with respective countries to further the government's bid to fulfill energy needs of India. So at one end, there is an understanding that, yes, we are going to be facing a crunch considerably because 80% of our LPG crosses through the Straits of Hormuz and is important where special domestic consumption is concerned. The government has also redrawn a whole map of reprioritizing LPG, from commercial interests more for domestic household interests. But they're also saying that no need to panic. We don't have a shortage as of now. We are already en route to procure LPG from 40 other nations as respect to 26 nations that we used to earlier. But I'd like to give you a picture in terms of what's happening on ground, because you might be hearing in, oh, Bengaluru, hotels are shutting in, shops are, restaurants are closing. Is it really happening? Two cities have reported a crunch. One of them has been Bengaluru, the other one has been Chennai. I'm going to cut across to both the cities. Sagai Raj joins us from Bengaluru, while Anaga joins me from Chennai. Sagai, since the last 2 days, there have been reports that hotels will shut down in Bengaluru. That hasn't quite happened, but certain restaurants are facing a bit of a shortage. Can you elaborate?
Absolutely. This restaurant who used to get around 15 to 20 gas cylinders are now struggling to procure even 2 to 4 gas cylinders. And if you notice that a medium range restaurant required around 6 cylinders per day. And they are struggling. They used to procure in advance, but now they are unable to do that. We are joined with Rahul, who runs Bangalore Cafe, a famous restaurant, and he also runs chains of restaurants across the city, close to 3 to 4 restaurants, if I'm not wrong. What is the problem that you are facing, Rahul? Are you able to procure a gas cylinder as used to do earlier?
No, none of my vendors are able to supply gas cylinders. They say they don't have stocks right now. So we are facing major crisis. We are in a position to shut down the restaurant because I don't think so the supply is there anymore.
What the distributor is saying? Why is he giving any kind of excuses to you?
He says there's no supply from the government side itself. And the government has made it clear that you should not give it to the domestic, you shouldn't give it to the commercial use. It's more for domestic use. So the first priority is given to the domestic. So we are left with nothing to shut down. I think we'll have to close down the restaurant.
So how many cylinders you require for this restaurant and the other restaurants?
See, we own 3 brands, which is one is Bangalore Cafe, 4 and Bangalore Tindis. On an average, we require 20 to 25 cylinders a day. But right now, we are unable to procure 3-4 cylinders also. And there's a big mafia also running, I think. There's a black market going on right now. They're doubling the prices and asking us to pay absurd rates for gas cylinders. I don't know how long we'll be able to sustain in this way. Such a big establishment, more than 500 people running, working here. Their livelihoods are dependent on us. And we are in a position that we'll have to close down the restaurants. It's a big impact on us. I don't know what will happen in the near future. It is a COVID-like situation right now for us.
This is the plight of one of the restaurant owners, and it's not only a single restaurant owner. There are also other restaurant owners with whom we spoke earlier in the day, and even they are claiming that it is very difficult for them to procure gas cylinders. They claim that there is also a mafia which has been parallelly run for them to get these kind of cylinders, and they claim that there are thousands of people who are depending upon these kind of restaurants, especially the livelihood, whoever works here, and they will be facing a problem, if at all, if they shut down these kind of restaurants.
Sagai, thank you there for that report and speaking to that restaurator. And what you've heard is worrying because the government is reprioritizing, where commercial interests are concerned towards domestic household supply. But there are commercial properties that are already facing the crunch. Sagai just gave you an example right there. I'm cutting across to Anaga. Thank you, Sagai, for joining us. Anaga, over to you. Chennai has also reported shortage. What more can you add?
In fact, there are several hotels across Tamil Nadu that are right now running out of cylinders. For today, they have enough supplies. But what about tomorrow? The uncertainty is for tomorrow. Although at the moment, as we speak, the situation doesn't look as bad as it is in Bangalore. But in the upcoming days, in the next 24 hours is when the big question is for the hotel owners. In fact, Adyar Ananda Bhavan, even Sangeeta, where I'm reporting from, you can see it's a very popular joint. In fact, there are hundreds that throng to this particular restaurant. But you can see now it's quite empty there. It means that the restaurant now, it has actually cut down on its menu offerings. Not just that, there is another biryani place called Manjil in Poes Garden, very close to all the politicians' house. That restaurant has also quite uncertain about what really they're going to do for tomorrow. So that's the kind of dire situation. In fact, there are about 10,000 hotels that come under the Chennai Hotels Association. It's quite likely that in the next 1 to 2 days, Chennai will also meet the same fate as Bangalore. In fact, today Chief Minister Stalin also took cognizance of the situation and he chaired a meeting with his top officers, and Stalin also wrote a letter to Prime Minister Modi urging him to ensure that the supply of LPG, the commercial LPG, goes uninterrupted in Tamil Nadu, because the restaurant industry, the food industry should not be hit. That's the kind of messaging that Stalin wrote for Prime Minister Modi.
All right, so that's the messaging that has gone in from the government. Anaga, once again, so the supply crunch could be in Chennai starting tomorrow, where big establishments like hotels and restaurants is concerned, and that is an imminent fear where Bangalore comes into question. Where domestic consumption is there, there is absolutely no trouble, correct?
Well, in fact, there are a lot of domestic, families and all. They've already booked cylinders, but till now, even though it has been close to a week since booking, cylinders have not arrived. Even though the government is sending out messages that there is no interruption when it comes to domestic uses, but on reality, there are a lot of families that are complaining about not having cylinders at their homes. Even today, this morning, when I was reporting, I spoke to a bunch of families who are still facing cylinder supply crunch at their home. So while the government is there sending out all those messages, but when it comes to supply chain, the ground reality, it is very much disrupted. Families also are facing disruptions when it comes to procuring cylinders for their household uses.
Well, that's an important point, Anaga, because, the government is constantly trying to allay fears, but the ground supply chain situation really needs to be looked into. These are also the time where there's an entire mafia in play. There are a certain set of people who like to make a quick buck at the back of a crisis, and that is also possibly happening where these cities come into question. So the government needs to crack the whip on multiple counts. Thank you, Anaga, for joining us. I want to just, take our viewers to the macro picture of it all. Will the economic compulsions or the economic repercussions of this war actually be a factor in ending this war? Lots of people looking at it. Joining me right now is Mr. Eric Solheim, former Under-Secretary General of UN and President Europe Asia Center. Thank you, sir, for taking the time out and joining us. How do you see and read the implications of the economic crisis that is taking place at the sidelines of the West Asia war?
I think the major factor, of course, is how long will this last? If it lasts long, we will see major impact on the global economy. Poor African nations, which are importing nearly all its oil and gas, they may not even be able to provide electricity for the people, and you will see abrupt poverty. More developed nations like India, of course, everything will be more costly. Gasoline will be more costly, fertilizer will be more costly, and it will impact agriculture prices, and it will impact export and import. And it will impact, of course, the United States and any other nation. So how long it lasts is the main factor. If it lasts long, it may be a huge setback to the global economic growth.
So all eyes on how long this lasts, especially where the economic repercussions of this war is concerned. But we are already, witnessing inflationary reactions across the world. In India, we've seen an uptick in prices of gas around the continent, around where at least our neighbors are concerned. We are already seeing inflationary measures, even in America. If the war continues this way, what could be the long-term repercussions of this?
That again depends completely on how long this lasts. I mean, the experience we have from other wars, unfortunately, is that it's very easy to start a war. It's very difficult to end a war. Look, if George W. Bush had known that the war in Iraq would last for 15 years, do you think he would have launched it? If the war in Afghanistan, it lasted for 20 years, I mean, no one would have launched it if they had known, and you can go on and go on. I mean, Operation Cinder, to the credit of India, is the one and only war I can think of in recent times which have become very short. So let's hope that rationality prevails in both the United States and Iran, and that we can find a way to close this war as soon as possible. If it lasts long, implications for the global economy and for people all over the planet will be massive.
How much of a wager do you think, or how much do you think, Mr. Solaim, that the economic cost of this war will weigh in on how long the war actually continues? There is pressure back home, domestic pressure on President Trump, even amidst MAGA. Trump is heading for midterm elections, and you can see it's not going to be comfortable for him. Putting all of that in perspective, do you see the economic cost of this war weigh in on how long this war could actually last?
What will decide how long this war lasts is these domestic calculations, both in the United States as well as in Iran. The United States can win and can crush whatever they like in Iran. They can kill tens of thousands of people if they so wish. But if they put boots on the ground, there will be a lot of Americans killed, and they don't want that. So there is no way the United States, in my view, can make regime change happening in Iran. So then there will be a contest as to who will blink first, who will stop this war first, and hopefully both the United States and Iran can find a way to stop it. But I'm not optimistic that it will be short, because again, nearly all wars we can think of were much more protracted than those who initiated the war thought.
Well, that sounds a tad bit ominous, Mr. Solaim, but thank you for joining us and taking the time out. Thank you. Appreciate it, sir. All right, I want to cut across to Ms. Vandana Hari, founder and CEO of Vanda Insights. Thank you, Ms. Hari, for joining us this evening. Your views on the implications of the current crisis. Nearly all countries, or rather most countries, have already started facing inflation at the back of this crisis.
Look, this is an unprecedented crisis. The world has not ever before seen a situation in which 20% of the global oil supply had been disrupted for more than 10 days. So the market as well has been quite confounded on how to see the situation. Of course, it has been overlaid by a lot of geopolitical game playing, a lot of posturing, rhetoric, a lot of psychological warfare that's going side by side with what's happening on the battlefield as well. So to sum it up, it's just, aside from being unprecedented, it's a very confusing, chaotic situation. One that is very difficult for the market, the physical markets to handle. We already see that, how the various stakeholders up and down the oil and gas supply chain have struggled to accommodate, to adapt to the situation. And on a sort of sentiment level as well, and which we have seen reflected in the huge volatility that we've seen in oil prices, and of course, all the way downstream to petrochemicals as well.
You know, Ms. Hari, in midst of the bluster and what you call the geopolitical posturing and rhetoric, there is also what is tangible, and we can already see it, and that's the economic fallout of it. Most countries are already in the grips of it. India in itself, where 80% of our gas comes in from the Strait of Hormuz. In terms of oil, it might be much lesser. Now, there will be other countries that will be impacted more than the others. How much of an economic repercussion do you see on this war?
Absolutely. So the very immediate impact, understandably, in the physical market in terms of refiners and downstream petrochemical companies struggling to adjust to this new reality of, supply uncertainty, supply shock. All of that has been the most evident across Asia, which is not surprising because more than 80% of the flows that come out of the Strait of Hormuz in terms of crude and condensate from the Persian Gulf go into Asia. But, oil and to a large extent gas because of LNG are fungible markets. It's a global market. So while the immediate impact, the bigger impact is obviously more visible, the pain is felt far more acutely until now in Asia, this is going to have repercussions and huge impact on inflation in terms of economic headwinds across the world. We've already seen the oil prices that we see, trading in the futures markets or the physical markets. Those pretty much are prices that all the countries, the economies, of course, are going to bear, and consumers are going to pay all the way down to, whether you're at the pump or you're buying your groceries or you're buying your, other consumer durables, because oil prices and gas prices percolate into all aspects of the economy.
Ms. Hari, thank you for joining us. Have a good day. Well, you've left us, and that's what the situation is. It's an ominous note, but that is the time that we live in right now. But thank you for joining us. News break of this hour. UAE air defenses have detected 9 ballistic missiles today, of which 8 ballistic missiles were destroyed, while 1 fell into the sea. Additionally, 35 drones were detected, of which 26 drones were intercepted. 9 fell within the country's territory. Since the start of the war, UAE has dealt with 262 ballistic missiles have been detected, of which 241 were destroyed, 19 of them in the sea, and 2 missiles in the country's territory. Additionally, 1,475 Iranian drones were detected, out of which 1,385 intercepted, 90 of them fell within the country's territory.
कहाँ है पावर सर? कौन सा पावर है सर?
अध्यक्ष जी मैं इनको टोकना माननीय गृह मंत्री अरे भाई बैठो ना
यही गलत है सर ये गलत है सर
कि पार्लियामेंट्री अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर के नाते सबसे ज्यादा इंटरप्ट किरण रिजिजू ने किया है मैं सहमत हूं मगर ऐसा इरिस्पॉन्सिबल विरोध पक्ष भी कभी नहीं आया
Parliament saw high drama today as the Lok Sabha took up a rare motion seeking the removal of the Speaker. The debate over the resolution against Om Birla sparked a sharp political clash between the government and the opposition. Congress MP Gaurav Gogoi opened the discussion for the opposition. He raised issues he said leader of the opposition Rahul Gandhi has not been allowed to speak about in the House, including the Epstein files and the India-US trade deal.
जिस बात पर बार-बार आदरणीय एलओपी जी को टोका जा रहा था वो इस बात पे था कि अमेरिका में यूएस डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ जस्टिस में एक ऑनगोइंग इन्वेस्टिगेशन चल रहा है जहां पर भारत के एक बड़े उद्योगपति का नाम है और भारत के सरकार के एक मंत्री का नाम है क्यों यहां पर उस विषय पर चर्चा नहीं होती है इस बात पर जब एलओपी रहते हैं तो उनको बार-बार इंटरप्ट किया जाता है स्पीकर नॉट
Gogoi alleged that the LOP was repeatedly interrupted and even claimed that Rahul Gandhi's microphone has been switched off during earlier proceedings.
आप फरवरी 26 का LOP स्पीच का ट्रांसक्रिप्ट देख लीजिए वही रिकॉर्ड से मैं पढ़ रहा हूं कि बार-बार 20 बार उनको टोका गया वो कौन से विषय पे वो बोल रहे थे
The government responded sharply.
हमारा नेता प्रतिपक्ष का अभी पिछले फर्स्ट पार्ट का ये मैं बात बोल रहा हूं, उन्होंने कहा इस सदन में बोलने का मेरा अधिकार है, मुझे परमिशन नहीं चाहिए। और आप फिर कहेंगे कि आपका माइक ऑन नहीं है। परमिशन दिए बिना आप अपने आप को स्पीकर से भी बड़ा आप समझेंगे तो मेरा कोई उसमें इलाज नहीं है।
Rijiju also made a striking claim, saying around 50 opposition MPs had privately told him they were unhappy with the motion against the speaker. The debate also saw sharp political jibes. TMC MP Mahua Moitra took a swipe at the speaker, referring to her own expulsion from the house.
It is richly ironic, it's divine karma actually, that I, the lady MP, who was illegally witch hunted by this misogynistic government, wrongly expelled by ethics committee which had no power to expel, after a motion in which I was not allowed to speak, where the speaker, in violation of every principle of natural justice, did not allow me to defend myself. Today I am opening the debate for my party in a motion of no confidence against that very speaker.
But the battle ultimately comes down to numbers. The Lok Sabha has 543 seats, with the majority mark at 272. The NDA holds about 293 MPs, while the India bloc has around 234 with 13 others. The motion can pass only if it secures a simple majority in the House. The numbers suggest the Speaker is unlikely to face real danger. But the debate has already escalated into a wider political clash over the neutrality of the chair and what the opposition calls the shrinking space for its voices in Parliament. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, joining me right now is Dr. Syed Nasir Hussain, Rajya Sabha MP, joining us live. Thank you, Dr. Hussain, for taking the time out. My first question, Dr. Hussain, is a charge that is levelled by the Treasury benches and the BJP, that you're not serious about your motion, which you have moved against the Speaker to remove him. You tried to derail the Parliament yesterday on other counts, and today you know you don't have the numbers as well, yet resorting to what the Treasury benches call gimmicky.
See, it's very clear that we need to understand the parliamentary practices and conventions. The Speaker, who is supposed to be unbiased, who is supposed to be neutral and impartial, has been behaving in a very, very partial way. He has been very biased, and he is not allowing the opposition, especially the LOP, to speak on the floor of the House. The leader of the opposition wanted to raise certain issues which were already there in public domain, but he was not allowed to speak for 3-4 days continuously. This point was number one. Point number two, the Speaker casts aspersions on the female members of the opposition, and he says that they were plotting to harm the Prime Minister of the country. It's a big accusation against the female members of the opposition. Third, some of our members were protesting well within their rights, and well within the domain of the parliamentary practices that we have been having for the past several decades. They were suspended, 8 of them were suspended. And fourth, there is one member of opposition who casts aspersions and uses all kinds of languages against two former prime ministers of the country, but the Speaker of the day doesn't do anything against him. So these were the 4 broad points against the Speaker, basing on which we have moved the no confidence motion. We didn't want to move a no confidence motion against the Speaker. We don't want to go to that extent. Neither we as opposition in the earlier during the earlier governments we tried to do this. But the point is, when on the floor of the House, if the opposition is denied the right to speak, when the opposition wants to raise certain questions, they are being barred from asking questions, their mics are switched off, and their female members are being accused of plotting to harm the Prime Minister without any evidence, which is a big accusation. So what will you do? You will have to go to the extent of having a no confidence motion against this Speaker, who is supposed to be above party, who has to be non-partisan, who has to be impartial, who has to be unbiased to run the House.
But Dr. Hussain, you do understand that this is symbolic in nature. You will have your say in Parliament, you will debate, but you don't have the numbers. Ultimately, this motion will not pass.
No. See, how will you say there's no? If you look at the numbers of the opposition and the numbers of the government, they are very close. They are very close. Who knows which parties may support, which independents may support, which parties which are neither with the government nor with the opposition will support this
Sir, the back
motion.
count, it is, the last time we counted, it was 240 for you and 308.
We have to put our points in because you are not allowing us to speak. At least when you move a no confidence motion, you will allow us to speak. And this is what is happening today. And the numbers are squeezed between the opposition and the government. Anything can happen. Why do you want to say that there are no numbers?
So it's not that what I'm saying. I'm just looking at the pure numbers which are there in the House and they don't favor you. That's what I'm saying. But, given the numbers, like, we pointed out in Lok Sabha, you really don't realistically expect the motion to pass or, in all probabilities, it is going to be denied. But even within your own allies, there has been friction, Dr. Hussain. There is a quid pro quo of sorts with the TMC that you support this motion against the Speaker and we will support the one that you move of a no confidence motion against the Chief Election Commissioner in 2 days.
The TMC always wanted to support the motion against the Speaker. Who said so? I was a part of the all-party meeting that was held on that particular day when we decided to have a signature campaign for the no confidence motion. TMC was very much the part of that meeting. They supported the move. They in fact, when they were on air, they tweeted and it's all there in public domain that they wanted to support this. So there's no quid pro quo. There's nothing to say that we are supporting them on a particular thing and they are supporting on some other thing. It is nothing of that sort. From day one, TMC wanted to support this issue and they went public about it. So I don't think there's any party in the opposition which didn't want to have this, we didn't want to support the no confidence motion. Every single MP in the opposition feels that the Speaker is not behaving in an impartial manner, and what he tried to do with the LOP and what he tried to do with the other members of the opposition is something which is unacceptable in the best parliamentary practices that we had in the past several decades in our country. Nobody wants to give away the right to speak. Nobody wants to become mere spectators in the parliament. Okay. Everyone comes well prepared to push the government to the corner. Everyone comes well with their questions, to ask questions on behalf of the people of this country to the government. So if you're not allowed to ask questions, if you're not allowed to raise issues that concerns the people of our country, if you're not allowed to, if the government doesn't include the agenda of the opposition, which they want to bring in front of the people as a course of parliamentary debates and discussion, so then you don't have any other way but to go against the Speaker, go against the ruling party. So every member of the opposition feels that the Speaker has been impartial, the Speaker has been biased. That's the reason why everyone is coming together to have a no confidence motion against the Speaker.
My final question, my final question, Dr. Hussain, stems from the fact that the charge again by the government, the BJP and the Treasury benches is that the opposition is behaving in an irresponsible manner by attacking constitutional posts. You've began with the Speaker in 3 days. Word has it that along with the TMC, you are moving a no confidence motion against the Chief Election Commissioner. I'm going by what the political rumor mill says.
Nobody is a Bhagwan in this country. Even if the Prime Minister is not above law, neither the President of India is above law. Everyone is bounded by the Constitution of India. They have to work and function within the framework of our Constitution. Whether it is CAC, whether it is Speaker, whether it is Prime Minister, anyone for that purpose. And there are mechanisms within the Constitution through which we can go and move use certain instruments in the Constitution when we feel that the particular authority or the constitutional authority is not working within the framework of the Constitution. And we have a right to do so. And these rights and instruments are provided within the Constitution itself. So it is not ganging up. If your voice is being throttled and your dissent is not being taken fairly and you are being muzzled up, what will you do? You say this is a free country, you say you have fair elections, you say that's in an independent country, and you don't have freedom. Your vote, your right to vote is being denied. Okay. Vote chori everywhere, and you say that you don't raise your voice in the parliament. And if you want to raise your voice in the parliament, you are being suspended. You are not being allowed to speak, and all kinds of accusations against them.
Okay, sir.
So what will you do? We'll have to use this instrument in the extreme cases. We are doing so, and the opposition has
all
the right.
But I'm glad that there is no denial that you're moving a no-confidence motion against the Chief Election Commissioner in the next 2 days. But thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nasir Hussain, for joining us. I'm joined right now by Ms. Aparajita Sarangi, BJP MP. Thank you, Ms. Sarangi, for joining us this evening. My first question, Ms. Sarangi, stems from what you also just heard, your fellow parliamentarian from the Congress, that they might not have the numbers, but finally they have a voice in Parliament, where you saw even Gaurav Gogoi's speech. He actually picked from parts of Rahul Gandhi's speech, which he wasn't allowed to make multiple times, is what the charge is.
Very good evening. This entire no confidence motion proposal that has been brought forth by the opposition, all opposition parties combined together, is nothing but a farce. It is ridiculous, and I can only say that it is just a wastage of our time, energy and resources. Every day in the Lok Sabha, ₹9 crore is being spent just on running the House. And imagine the kind of wastage of everything that is taking place. Now here, everybody has been talking about two articles of the Constitution, Article 93 and Article 94. Article 93, a speaker is chosen or elected by the House. And once a speaker, he or she is elected by the House, he or she does not belong to a political party. He or she has to be non-partisan and is the custodian, the guardian of the House. And now as far as Article 94 is concerned, we are aware of the removal proceedings. The majority will remove the speaker. Now here, number one, let me tell you that Honorable Speaker Shri Om Birla ji is the second time speaker, a very mature politician who is extremely popular among all of us just for the simple fact that he has been handling the proceedings for the past 7 years with a lot of dignity, with maturity, and with a lot of not many smiles on his face. In fact, everybody will agree to what I say. Now here, as far as Honorable Speaker Om Birla ji is concerned, I would say that historic decisions with far-reaching consequences for the country have taken place in these two sessions, 17th Lok Sabha and 18th Lok Sabha. We are aware of the Article 370 and Article 35A, to which we said goodbye. And number two, Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam. At 12 midnight, we had passed that legislation in the Lok Sabha. I still remember I was present in the House. And number three, I must make you recall the Triple Talaq Bill, which was passed. And I tell you, when all these things happened, historic decisions were taken, legislations were passed of paramount importance. Honorable Shri Om Birla ji presided over the House. So I think here is a person who needs to be commended for his efforts. And this is not the way to cast aspersions on his way of working. I think this is absolutely ridiculous. And number two, let me tell you, where is the numerical strength? Why this farce? How ridiculous this is. You have shown on the TV screen right now the numbers. I need not talk about that. We are 293 plus and they are just 234. I mean, where are the numbers? How do they bring the numbers? So this is another one. Now here, I don't think it is at all mature to demean or rather bring down or rather belittle the dignity of the House. This is an attack on the Speaker's chair. It's not a question of Shri Om Birla ji. It's a question of bringing down the dignity of the House. We are following the parliamentary procedures, rules of business and rules of conduct of business and rules of procedure actually determine everything. And we are guided by the provisions of the Constitution.
But Ms. Sarangi, you named a lot of... But ma'am, yes, make your point.
Yeah.
Ma'am, you've named a lot of articles. The opposition is claiming... Okay, ma'am, finish with what you're saying and then I'll ask you.
Yes, please continue.
Ma'am, the question I wanted to ask you was that
I
article...
was trying to recall what...
Go ahead, ma'am. Finish.
Can I come in? Yeah. See, I was about to recall what Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the architect of the Constitution, said. The proceedings of the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha, I would say, are not actually based on just the provisions of the Constitution. They are just not guided by them. They are guided by the principles of constitutional morality. संवैधानिक नैतिकता को ध्यान में रखकर कार्य करना पड़ता है. Now,
but one quick question, Ms. Sarangi, before I let you go, because the opposition also quoting Article 105, and that entails with guarantee of freedom of speech within the Parliament, which, as per the opposition, the Speaker is throttling, along with serious charges of, not expunging language which was derogatory against women MPs.
How very ridiculous all this is. Yesterday, let me tell you, I'll come to your question, but let me just recall what happened yesterday. The second part of the budget session commenced yesterday. We all gathered together in the Lok Sabha just before 11 o'clock in the morning, and there was a ruckus in the House. Now, what was the need of the ruckus? The Business Advisory Committee had decided that there would be discussion on the no confidence motion starting from 9th, and it would be ending on 10th. Now, here, at 11 o'clock, they start the ruckus and did not let the House have the proceedings yesterday. Now, there was definitely rupees 9 crore which went down the drain. This is one part. Now, number two, as far as the LOP always saying that he has not been allowed to speak. Now, I recall here, the first part of the budget session when we all had gathered together. He stood up to speak. And unfortunately, at that point of time, he did not speak. He showed something unpublished material. We waited for full 45 minutes. All the MPs cutting across party lines. We wanted LOP to speak on the presidential address. He did not. He did not. He talked of everything except that. So the point is, when he is supposed to speak on the subject, he does not. Now, when he says that I'm not allowed to come in, I'm not allowed to speak, I'm not allowed to take part very positively or constructively in the Parliament proceedings. Now, let me put forth some statistics before you. I think data and statistics are more convincing than my statements. Now, here, there is a leader of opposition, Sri Rahul Gandhi ji, who in the 15th Lok Sabha, in the 16th Lok Sabha and in the 17th Lok Sabha registered 43%, 52% and 51% attendance respectively. Why so? Now, he says, I'm not allowed to talk. Now, let me tell you, in the last Lok Sabha, 17th Lok Sabha, because it was a full Lok Sabha, complete 5 years. Now, let me tell you, I was also part of that Lok Sabha. The average number of debates in which our honorable members of Parliament in the Lok Sabha took place was 210. And now, as far as Rahul Gandhi ji was concerned, he just took part in 8 debates. So, 210 and 8, please remember this.
Okay.
Yes, so I think there are questions. 210 questions were asked by us, and he, on the average, and he just asked 99 questions. Now, these are the ways we put forth our issues. We ask questions, we engage in debates. So, he was in 8 debates and he was in just 99 questions. Why so? Why didn't he come forward? So, I don't think he is, I would say, serious enough to take part in the parliamentary
proceedings. Ma'am, we got you a little late during our show. I wish we had you earlier, but I need to slip into a break. But thank you, for giving out your statement. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Meanwhile, the West Asia war has disrupted global oil supply chains. Sources have said the government procuring energy from 40 countries. Centre has expanded its horizon of purchase to meet energy needs of the country. Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri has already gotten in touch with countries to further government's bid to fulfill energy needs of the country as soon as possible. Government sources, no need to panic. Government working to meet the oil and energy needs of the nation. Government serving the interest of the people is the latest message.